How's it going, everyone? It's Trent here with Visual Torch, where cybersecurity meets clarity. We're back again today with day 5 of Advent of Cyber. And so today's room is actually going to be called IDOR, Santa's Little IDOR. We'll be talking about a vulnerability called IDOR in a little bit. But just want to, if you're new here, just want to welcome you and thank you for tuning in. The Advent of Cyber is TryHackMe's yearly 24-day cybersecurity event, and it runs every December in a celebration of Christmas. And each day we will be unlocking a new beginner-friendly challenge covering topics like web hacking, forensics, cloud security, malware analysis, phishing, and more. All of this is designed to teach you real world skills in a fun and hands on way. And every day that you complete a room, you'll be entered into a overall draw grand prize. You'll be able to win one or more than one prizes, and that total over $150,000. So whether you're brand new to cybersecurity or just leveling up your skills, Advent of Cyber is a great way to learn something new. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I went ahead and actually start the room up a little bit. Got some things prepared for us. So we are on day 5, and if you want to catch up on the other videos from day 1 through 4, you can go ahead and check it out on our channel. So the story so far for day 5 is the elves of Wareville are on high alert since McSkitty went missing. Recently, the support team has been receiving calls from parents who can't activate vouchers on the Try Present Me website. They also mentioned that they are receiving many targeted phishing emails containing information that is not public. The support team is wary and has enlisted the help of the TBFC staff. When looking into this particular case, they discover a suspiciously named account that is named Sir Carrotbane, which has many vouchers assigned to it. For now, they have deleted the account and retrieved the vouchers. But something is going on. Can you help TBFC staff investigate the Try Present Me website and fix vulnerabilities? So we'll be learning about the concept of authentication and authorization. We'll learn how to spot potential opportunities for insecure direct object references, which is what IDOR stands for. We'll learn how to exploit IDOR to perform horizontal privilege escalations, and then we'll learn how to turn IDOR into SDOR, secure direct object reference. So go ahead and connect it to the machine. We have an attack VM and attack box and a target machine. And let's go ahead and get into the actual room. So we'll start with going over what an IDOR is. So you probably logged into an account and taken a look at the URL in the web bar, and you'll notice something kind of like this awesome website.thm with this track package, and then there's a package ID at the back. Well, have you ever looked at that and wondered what will happen if I changed the package number to maybe 11 or 12? Well, that's what happens in the IDOR, the insecure direct object reference. This vulnerability would allow you to go on to a site, change that ID, and then you'll be able to see it. And the problem is that it may not really be something that you were supposed to see. Like in this example right here, if this is a list of all the packages, package IDs with person's name, address, and status, if you're Alice Smith and you went in and just looked at your package 1001, that would be fine. But then if you're able to change it to 1003 and see Carol White's, now you're able to see someone else's personal information that you shouldn't be able to. So that is, it can lead to a serious information disclosure. And this is what we're trying to protect against. But we noticed that their Try Present Me application had this vulnerability. So if the user wants to know the status of their package and make a web request, the simplest method is to allow the user simply to supply their package ID. And you can see that there could be a simple SQL request, That is just a select person, address, status from in the packages and where the package ID equals the value that they put in. However, since the package ID is sequential, it becomes pretty obvious to guess the package IDs. And the web application isn't verifying that the person making the request to view that new package ID is the same person who owns the package. And that's where this IDOR vulnerability appears, allowing us to recover the details of packages belonging to other users. Even worse, when a feature like this doesn't require a user to authenticate, then there will be no way to tell who is making the request. And then right now we're going to just dive a little bit deeper. To understand it, we'll need to understand authentication, authorization, and privilege escalation. And if you want to read this note from one of the co-authors, this is actually very interesting. We can go over it very quickly. It's basically saying that he doesn't like the term insecure direct object reference because it sounds fancy, but it's not really explaining what's happening. He likes to call it authorization bypass instead. So a lot of people try to fix IDORs by simply hiding or encoding the IDs and changing it from user one to user, and then this encoded number here. It's like that's not really the problem. The issue is when it comes to authorization, we're not checking on the actual user who's making the request to see if they're authorized to do this. So whether the ID is a number, a hash, or a random string, the risk will stay the same no matter what you do. So you want to make sure that you are verifying the user's permissions. So to understand the root cause of IDOR, it's important to understand the basic principles of authentication and authorization. Authentication is basically just the process of verifying who you are. So it's just like going to the bank or to somewhere and they ask you for your ID. They're verifying who you are to make sure you're authenticated. But then you have authorization, which is the process by which the web application verifies your permissions. So they make sure that first they make sure that you are you, but then they go ahead and they see, do you have access to view this part of the web application or make a payment? So you can so that you can think of like if you're at work, you can show your ID to get in, but like if you have a badge, you're not going to be able to badge in everywhere because you don't have the correct accesses. And that's what this is. What's this all about? So when it comes to a web application, after you provide your credentials, let me expand my box time real quick. Hour. So after we provide our credentials, we're on a web site. What we're doing is we're getting a cookie or a token which stores our session information. So every time we're clicking around the application, it's actually taking our session token and it's trying to make sure that we are where we need to. So that process happens a lot when you're visiting web applications. And this is why often sometimes they kick you back to the login page after a while, and that's because your session information has expired and they're asking you to authenticate. Authorization cannot happen before authentication. If the application doesn't know who you are, it cannot verify what permissions your user has. So we can go down and skip down a little bit. And the last bit of theory we want to cover is privilege escalations. So there are two types of privilege escalations. There's vertical privilege escalations where you gain access to a simple normal user, but through ways of actions that you're able to make sure that that user now has more access that it should be. You can go from a standard user to an administrator, and then you have what's called horizontal privilege escalation, and that refers to where you use a feature you're authorized to, but you gain access to data that you're not allowed to access. So in this example, you will be able to see your accounts, but you shouldn't be able to see someone else's accounts. So IDOR is usually a form of horizontal privilege escalation. You're allowed to make use of the track package function, but you should be restricted to only tracking actions for packages that you own. So go ahead and we will log into the package website now, well, the present website, and that is not, oh, that's why. Sorry about that. So we'll go to http :// and this 10.64.129.24. And that will take us here, and we'll type in Nails username. Say never. So now we're here on the actual TryPresentMe website, and we can see that we logged in as Neil. We have Neil's children's, and we have vouchers, that can be claimed. So go ahead, we can scroll down. It tells us about our dashboard. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to be performing an IDOR attack now. So, or we'll be exploring the IDOR vulnerability. So we'll go ahead and actually inspect the page. And down here, this is, sometimes you may have accidentally hit this and wonder what all this is, but this allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. So we'll start by going into the networking tab here. And we should be all. Oh, we have to refresh the page. Once we refresh the page, this is actually what is going on while the page is being loaded. So we click on various things. And if we look right here, we can see that we have this view account info with the user ID equals to 10. Now that's interesting because that's kind of like what we saw up here when it came to this address right here. So if you see something like that, you're going to wonder, hey, maybe I can manipulate that. So it tells us we can take a deeper look at the view account info. And we can see that there is a HTML GET request with this user ID right here. And we could open it up. You just see a little bit more information with the headers and everything. Let me pull this up. It's a little bit more legible. And if we scroll down, we can click on response. And we can see the user ID field is filled in here. This tells us that the user ID is referenced for getting details. Now let's see what happens when we change this. So we can actually change this in the developer tools. So since we logged in here, our session should be stored. So if we go to storage and over to local storage, right here, you can see that we have our session token, but we have this user ID field. Scroll down. What we can do in this auth user, we can go ahead and double click this. We can change this to, let's say, 11. Hit enter. And then remember, this was Neil's website. So if we go ahead and refresh this, now we're in a test account. That shouldn't be possible. But that's what happens when you have IDORs. So we'll go ahead and go back to number 10 user. Go back and refresh this. So there's some different ways that you can use IDORs. So they may not be as simple. In certain cases, people try to encode them. So on the loaded profile, we will go ahead and click this eye icon right next to the children details. And then, oh, it popped all the way up. That is new. Okay. Now if I go back to network, oh, I must have clicked on the thing. We should be able to now click right here. This is pretty interesting. So if we click on this new thing that just pulled up, we see that we have the child name for Bilbo, which was this child ID here. So what we'll notice is that this, go back to headers, this MG == is telling us that this may be encoded, and it may be encoded with base 64. So what we can actually do is we can find out that that when you decode this number, that means 2. So that gives us where that child ID is. And then it also says encoding isn't the only way to be used to hide potential IDOR vulnerabilities. Sometimes it may look like hashes, it may look like MD5s or SHA-1s. If you want to see what that look like, we'll take a request. We'll take a look at this other request and we click on the edit icon. So if I click here to edit Bilbo and we drop down, there's this one long string right here. So if we click on that, we get that this is MD5 hash. So we can use something like this hash identifier. And what we can do, oh, did not want that to take me out of there. Go back. Sorry about that. Let me go back here. Now if I go and I take this hash value, all right, and I go over here and I put this in here. This will tell me that's a possible MD5 hash. If we have hashes, we can probably crack those. And then it says it's deterministic, obvious, and obviously reproducible. So sometimes you have to dig quite deep for IDOR. Sometimes it's not as clear. Sometimes the IDOR can stem from an actual algorithm being used. So in this case, there's going to be something called a UUID. And we can use this UUID decoder to check on that. So here they're saying that while, let me close this, while the vouchers that we saw down here, let me see if I can close this a little bit, out of the way. So while we can see that we have these vouchers down here, they actually look kind of suspicious. They look like what's called a UUID. So if we go ahead and copy this, and then go here, you can actually put it in one of these decoders and get more information that actually this is version 1 of UUID and that it was actually created on a 10/8/2025 at 10:50. Whoa, that is 8:56. Yeah, at 8:56. And it says for this, first example, suppose we knew that the L's always generated vouchers between 20 and 2000 and 2100. In that case, we will create UIDs for the entire period. So we could recreate them and actually use them for our own brute force attack to recover a valid voucher and get more gifts. So how do you fix it? The best way is to make sure the server checks who is asking for the data every time. It's not enough to hide or change the ID. The system must confirm that the logged in user is authorized. So don't rely on tricks like base64 or hashing. We need to use random and hard to guess IDs for public links, but remember, random IDs alone won't make it safe. So we'll go down to the questions. So what does IDOR stand for? So it's indirect object reference is what they said. Let me just double check. And we can copy this in here. Insecure direct object reference. We'll go back down here. And we will enter this in. That is right. And then what type of privilege escalations are most IDOR cases? So remember there was 2. There was horizontal and there was vertical, but most are horizontal. And then here it says, exploiting the IDOR found in view accounts parameter. What is the user ID of the parent that has 10 children? If we go back here and we go back into our storage tab, we go ahead and check around and see what's going on. If we go to local storage, remember here we can edit this. We already looked at 11, so let's jump up. Let's go to 12. Not 112, but let's go to 12. We'll hit enter and we will refresh that. Run another test account, but that one doesn't have any children. Let's take a look in here. Go to 13 and refresh the page. Now we have Bad Bunny, so someone here must be a Bad Bunny fan. Let's see what 14 says. Refresh that. Pickle Rick. So now someone is a Rick and Morty fan. I love that. They have 2 vouchers though, Morty and Morty. And let's see if we have a 15. Refresh this. And now we have Sir Breeds a Lot, 10 children. So that has to be the actual answer. So yeah, you have, that is 10 kids. So if we go here and we type in, it was the ID of 15, this should get us this bonus answer. Well, this should be one of the bonus answers. Now we have 2 bonus ones. So you don't have to complete the bonus ones to actually complete the room, but you can always go and do them if you want to. So it says, if you want to dive even deeper, we can use either base 64 or MD5 child endpoint to try to find the number, the ID number of the child born on 2019 04/17. To make the iteration faster, we can use something like burp intruder. So I did go ahead and fire burp. So burp is what you would use if you're doing any type of web application pen testing. You can do cool things. I'll show you right now. So I have burp pulled up. So this is burp right here, and it's just a proxy. So what is actually going to happen is anytime I try and do anything on this site, like reload or click on things, it's going to be sent to my burp process. Oh, my machine expired. That is interesting. It said something. Refresh the page. Let's double check. Yep, they are off. Give me 1 second. Let me cut my. Oh, it's in here. So let me start my tech machine back up. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to have to log back in. How's everyone doing? If you are just now tuning in, we are going over day 5 of TryHackMe's Advent of Cyber. So we are almost finished with this. We're on the bonus question. So we're learning about IDORs, which is insecure direct object reference vulnerabilities and how they can be exploited. Takes a little minute for your attack box to pull up, so just bear with me. Hopefully it pulls up pretty soon. Here we go. We should be back. All right. And let's go ahead and browse back to that website and log back in. http://10.64.129.24. Now this was news. And now we are logged in. All right, not now. All right, so we're going to be using Burp Suite. So go ahead and if we go here, it's under the web testing, and we'll let this pull up. But what I was saying, it's going to act as a proxy. So every time we will send information to on the website and do any action, it's actually going to send to our Burp Suite proxy, and we'll be able to manipulate and test things in Burp, and we'll send it off, and we'll actually be able to get a response, but the website won't change. So we're able to do a lot of testing and things like that. So this is what we're going to be using to try and find that child that was with that child ID that was born on April 17th, 2019. Give this a moment to pull up. And actually to start Burp Suite, while you start it here, you actually, I don't think it wants to work right now. There's a little fox icon here. So if I click on this and click on Burp, this is actually what enables the proxy to run. It's like it may be, okay. So we'll just say next, and we'll start Burp. Wait for this to pull up. Okay, so we will for that real quick. So we're going to use what's called, we're going to first use the proxy and then use intruder. So if I go ahead and minimize this real quick, Burp should be on. Now, if I go ahead and click on this, the view more details, you see that popped up there red? That means it is now in Burp. So if I go here to the proxy, I can see right here that I get a child proc, I get the GET request, and here is the ID that we saw before, or something like this, so we know it's base 64 encoded. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to right click on this, and I'm going to send this to intruder. So this is where you're able to do your attacks in Burp Suite and do a payload. So this one I'm going to do, I am actually have this down somewhere else. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I have actually a list of numbers that have been base 64 encoded from 1 to 20. And if I go here and I paste it in here, all of them. And I'm actually going to create a text file, and I will call this nano, and I'll say this is base 64.txt. now I can paste these in here. We'll save this. And then now what I can do is I can actually highlight this section right here and put, this is where you add these brackets around, and this is what's actually going to be the part that you are changing each request. So I can go to load, over here to basic64.txt, open this, and now I can actually start my attack. And we do that, we'll just say okay. We'll see we'll get a bunch of 200 requests going through, and that's just saying that it is successful and it's receiving a response from the website, and it is finished. So you can actually click on each one. When you go here, you see a response, and in that response, you can see there's a child with the birth date and the ID. We know 2 was Bilbo from before. We can see Johnny's birth date. You can see another Johnny's birth date. You can see one of Morty's because there was 2 in there. And we have the parent ID and the child. We have another Morty with 14. Child number 7, test 2, test 3. But we don't see anyone born with 417. No, that's 20, 25, I'm on 9, go to 10, it's still 6, 2015, 2013, 2016, getting closer, 2012, close, 2018 with 15, 2014 with child ID 16, 20, no, need one more, no. And then Willow, we see Willow here is 2019 with this one, so we know that ID number 19 is the one. No answer needed. Oh, we can just hit check, and that says that we pass. Now, if we want to take this even further, using parents voucher claim endpoint, find the voucher that is valid on the 20th of November, 2025. And insider information tell us that the voucher was generated exactly on 1 minute, somewhere between 8 and 12 p. Between 8 p.m. and 12 a.m. UTC that day. So what is the voucher code? So I actually kind of struggled with this a little bit when I was prepping. What it is we need to generate those UIDs that we did before. So we already know the actual version of the UID, but we need to randomly generate it. So if you remember back here, it was saying that we had that during the time period that they knew that generated an example, there would be 3,600 UUIDs, since we have 60 minutes and 60 seconds in a minute, because they were generating, I think it was a voucher a minute a second, or a voucher a minute. Yeah. So in our case, we had this time frame. So I did use AI to come up with the UUIDs for me. If you give me one moment, I will have to grab those and paste them over. So it is not here. It is. I know I had them somewhere. I was using this one. Let's see if we have it now. There was another one I was missing. Give me 1 second. Let me find it. I had to play with it. I don't think that's the right one. Give me 1 second. So actually, I'm gonna show you how AI, oh, it's gonna take a while, but I'll show you how AI actually kind of didn't get this right. But do is, I'm going to create another nano. I'm use nano to create another script, which will be payload.txt. And we'll go ahead and paste that. This should be over 2. Yep, should be just enough. So what we're going to do is actually, we go back here. We know that these vouchers are actually UUIDs. So if I go to claim a voucher and I just put something in here like voucher, and I hit claim voucher, it's going to get stuck. And when I go back to Burp Suite and go into my proxy, here is the parents voucher claim endpoint. And in here, we know that we can see the code voucher that we sent. So if I go and I will send this to actually repeater first. So I can show you, you can actually send this off. Well, you can check once I send this off, it'll go and it'll come back and I'll get the response that voucher was not found. So we know that this is what is actually being sent off. So if I go here back to proxy and I send this new one to intruder, this will be our new attack payload. And voucher is what I want to send over. We will add this new symbol and I will load payload right here. All of these, which I had ChatGPT try and generate. I couldn't find the actual generator to create it, but it will we'll go ahead and start sending off the attack. Should be another window. If I can view the actual attack. Quick start the attack. So it's actually going right now. It's a bunch of 404 errors because it's not loading. Actually, chat didn't create it correctly, but if we did, we can click on this and we will actually see the response that it was found. And the one that actually is found is going to be this one right here. So what I could do is I can actually stop the attack. So we pause the attack, we'll stop it. I will discard it. And let me clear this out. Go back to this nano payload. Oh, yeah, nano that payload. Let's actually just put one closer to the top so you can see this is 22643. Okay, and now if I save this, load this payload back up, we'll see that it should give us the 202 pretty fast. And then we click on here, we will check response. And yeah, this is the one that allowed us to actually, we could claim that ticket. That's all we need to do. And we'll say check here. And we will finish the room. and we are done. So I do want to thank you all for tuning in to today's challenge. If you like more of these videos and want to see more of them, please do us a favor, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date. If you want to watch the previous videos, you can go ahead and do that as well. I do want to thank you all and have a good night.